Hey guys!
Hello, hello! How's everyone doing? It's been a while. Gosh, we haven't done a live stream in quite some time.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat if everything is going well. It seems like our audio bitrate is down, but just let us know if you guys hear us, if you see us. It looks like it's doing okay on our end. Good to see all of you.
Yes, we haven't really been able to do any live stream because internet has been kind of patchy in a lot of places where we've been. But now, hopefully, it'll be good for the whole duration.
Perfect. It sounds like it's sounding good and looking good. Thanks for the heads up, Katie and Alan. You guys are awesome.
So we are near Spanish Wells in the Bahamas. Or actually, more precisely at Meek's Patch. Cute little island that we ended up coming last year, and we're back, I guess. Never know where you'll be back in life, eh?
We did a lot of exploring here during the last little while. We've been exploring the Abacos quite a bit, which we didn't get a chance to do last year, and it was really really awesome. I want to go back. There's so much stuff to explore here. You know, Bahamas seems like just a little dot on the map, but I mean, I feel like I could spend seasons and seasons here just exploring all the little islands, and then I'd probably have to spend multiple lifetimes if I ever wanted to actually really explore the reefs that are out here, because you know, you just see little patches here and there, and you really never get to explore very much of it because it's just so vast. There's just so much there.
I mean, there's over 700 islands just in the Bahamas and many more cays, so that's a lot of places to go visit. But in this live stream, really, we wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on in the Wildly Intrepid life, what we've been up to, what's coming up, answer any of your questions.
Yep, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So I guess let's start a little bit more with what's been happening in the past little couple of months, because we made it back to our boat in January, and all our videos are quite behind. Sorry for that. We're trying to slowly catch up, but we've got just way too much footage to go through.
That's why we decided to start doing some shorts, which we've been kind of lacking on. The first little while we were just doing, if you're not familiar, shorts are just this short form YouTube content that has to be under 60 seconds, and it's filmed in a vertical view. I think they're trying to compete with TikTok and Instagram, but essentially it just allows us to give you guys quick little updates on what we've been up to. And our last couple were a little more curated, I guess you could say, where we are sharing this massive shark that we saw, this tiger shark. It was our first tiger shark that we had seen.
I didn't see it.
And also the storm we went through, and those have been really doing well, I guess you could say. And so we're trying to share, I guess, tidbits of the experience here this year before we get to the full form content, which is coming in the near future. Absolutely.
We made it back to the Bahamas because this year there's been, traveling is quite a bit more challenging with all this COVID thing. But the Bahamas seemed like it was kind of possible for us to cross over without too much trouble. We did have quite a bit of restrictions still, but a little bit less than other places, and still kind of close by. But really, for this year to enter the Bahamas, we had to do a test back in the US, and it had to be no later than, it had to be like 5 days old at most before we could cross into the Bahamas. And then once we finally checked in, then you have like 14 days that we needed to just fill in that little health questionnaire every single day just to update them and tell them we're still doing fine, I guess. And then on day 5, we had to do a second COVID test.
Which was all fine and dandy, you know, considering that's all we had to do to be able to be here. But it certainly impacted our plans for the first few weeks, because first off, we needed to get here within the 5 days to have our COVID test actually be worth anything, I guess, without having to redo it before we left. So picking a weather window was a little bit... Actually, it worked out well for us. We didn't struggle too much with it.
It worked out so well. Like, we left the US A couple of days later, we were in West Palm, and then I think a week and a bit later, we were in the Bahamas. Like, everything worked out so well. I was really, really grateful for this. Because last year, Katie, you probably remember, it took us way too long to get across to the Bahamas. Finding the right weather window can be quite challenging to get across the Gulf Stream.
Yeah. And then once we got here, that was a little bit interesting. We just had to kind of hang out in areas that normally we probably wouldn't, just because we needed to be somewhere where we could do the test.
Like Freeport?
Yeah. Basically hanging out in Freeport area so we could do the 5-day test once we, or the after we've been here for 5 days, do another test. And anyway, everything worked out, so that's what matters. We just had to kind of pause our plans a little bit to make sure we got data to be able to do the surveys, and so we could do that 5-day test. But we're here now. We're loving it. We've already been here for, geez, time is flying, like 2 months.
Almost 2 months. Time flies way too quick.
Yeah. And we only have a month left, unfortunately, but, you know, that's okay. Well, there's other years we could come here. There's lots of other places we could explore in the future.
And we decided to do the Abacos this year because last year we entirely skipped this area because that was right after the Dorian hurricane hit, so we weren't too sure how everything was gonna be, if we're gonna have easy time finding water and food and all those things. But it worked out really good. Mind you, we stayed mainly in the caves. We skipped mainland Abaco because if we were to go to mainland Abaco, we needed to do another test, which would have been like $160 to $250 each to be allowed to leave mainland Abaco, so we decided to just skip that area. And there's so many different caves to explore anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't feel, I mean, other than the fact that it would have been nice to visit like Marsh Harbor and a couple of the areas, Treasure Key, but you know, whatever, it's all good. We'll see it next year maybe. And for now, like she said, there's just so much to explore. There's so many little islands that are untouched, so to speak, and there's just so much to see and do here.
And Green Turtle Cay had fresh water for us, had some well-stocked grocery stores. So we've been finding pretty much everything we need, which is always really good.
I probably could have stayed at Green Turtle area between Green Turtle and No Name Cay and like all the little cays near Manjack. There's just so much beautiful areas, and inside the water there's like, honestly, at Manjack, just outside on the outside portion where the weather had to be nice, it was the most astonishing reef I have ever seen in all of our snorkeling adventures around the world. And you know, it's just amazing. It just these deep, huge caverns. You feel incredibly small because there's just so many cave systems and just crazy beautiful reef.
The drop off, like in Finding Nemo.
Yeah, that's exactly what we compared it to.
It was unbelievable. And I mean, just like last year, Corey has been catching tons of fish, and we've been well fed.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really getting into my groove for fishing this season. My breath hold isn't quite as good as I'd like it, but I'm still able to get down there and spear plenty of fish. And this year we're not eating quite as many fish because we don't have a boat. Well, we had some buddy boats that we were sharing it with, but we're just not quite eating as much as usual, I guess. And actually, while I'm on that topic, I'm going to share with you our big announcement that we have for all of you. Our patrons already got this announcement, but now we want to share it with all the rest of our YouTube audience. So this video should explain it, and if you have any questions, you feel free to ask. So we had some fun making that video, really short, but you get the idea. Alex is pregnant.
Yes, so there's a little one that's going to be coming soon, so that's why we are staying in the Bahamas for so long, and plans always change.
So yeah, we'll be heading back to Canada for, wrong button. We'll be heading back to Canada to give birth and get all the logistical stuff out of the way. passports and everything else. And to be honest, I'm not super stoked on going back to Canada at this point in time, but we're not going to get into that.
No. But no, we're making the most out of the Bahamas, enjoying everything. I don't have as good of breath hold as I used to, having a little bit more trouble going down, but Corey's catching too many fish and I shouldn't be eating too many anyway, so that's why we've been trying to take it a little bit more easy on the fish and lobster scene. But yeah, so that's it. Enjoying doing almost everything that we would normally do, just slowly getting bigger.
Yep, the belly is coming along. I guess we should get into some of these questions, and thank you guys all for commenting, and feel free to ask anything down below in the comments. We love doing these live streams just because we really get to have this one-on-one kind of experience, and I actually really prefer that our audience is just, you know, that perfect size in my opinion, where the comments aren't coming in like crazy that you can't even keep up with it, and we're able to address each comment the best we can. So let's get into some of those.
Okay, so I guess we have, there's so many hi to everyone. Did you get the engine fixed? Well,
good question.
Actually, while we're at this, so right now we are starting to come out with a lot of our Yanmar rebuild videos, and there's going to be quite a few coming up in the, like, on regular Thursdays episode. But we're not putting everything in these episodes because it probably would be boring for some people that don't really care about that whole engine rebuild maintenance, and they would be way too long. So we've decided to do kind of regular Thursday adventures / covering some of the engine rebuilds, but then on top of those episodes we're going to be coming up with tons of little shorter episodes about specific things that we've completed on the engine.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of over-filmed that whole process, but I just felt like there wasn't a whole... I mean, we gathered a lot of information through YouTube and also through our two very great diesel mechanics that we had on call, Alex's brother and our friend Graham from Port Colborne. And we gathered a lot of information, but there wasn't a ton of information on YouTube, and I really wanted to make a very comprehensive guide from somebody who didn't know what the heck they were talking about, essentially, and only was learning about it as they needed to. And so we thought it would be helpful. So for those of you that aren't interested in the engine stuff, we'll still have the Thursday episodes that are our regular adventure style. And then everything in the middle of the week will be, actually there's a ton of videos coming out. We've been spending the last 2 days straight just editing, trying to get all of these done so that they can come out in a timely manner. So there'll be lots of engine stuff coming out. But the engine is fixed. We're running it.
Oh,
it's so nice having the engine. Honestly,
it's kind of crazy, actually.
I think it gives us this almost false sense of security because we know we can just turn that key, and you know, when the wind blows like it did not too long ago, and we went through this, actually it was a Category 0 tornado.
Yeah.
And we were able to start the engine and take some of the pressure off the anchor, thankfully. And if we didn't have that, we probably would have been one of the other boats that drug in the anchorage. The anchorage next to us that our buddy boats were in, they were dragging moorings. They were lifting 500 to 1,000 pound moorings off the ground and dragging it with the boat. So that just gives you an idea of, I mean, the winds got up to 78 knots, which is how many kilometers or miles? Anyway.
130 kilometers maybe, give or take.
So really strong winds. Really happy to have the engine this year.
Mm-hmm. It's just so weird though. It's like every time I go to turn on the key and start the engine, parts of me is like, is it gonna start? Is it still working?
Yeah.
And to be honest though, we haven't been... Gosh, we've ran the engine for like, I don't know, maybe 70 hours. Like, we haven't been running the engine very much since we've left the US, because sailing is just so much more fun, even if the wind's coming straight at you.
That's something we've struggled with, and we're kind of stubborn to some extent, where even if we want to go somewhere because it's better protection or whatever, we want to get there, we tend to, it seems like even if the weather's saying it's going to come from the south, it turns out it's coming from the north, and that's the direction we need to go in. And we go there anyway, and it takes double the amount of time, but we get there. And I don't know, honestly, actually yesterday was the first time I was fed up, and we only had 5 nautical miles to go. So I'm like, let's turn on the engine, we'll get there quicker. So I did it, and I kind of regretted it, because actually I turned it off like 5 minutes later, because we were going like 1 to 2 knots beating into the wind. So there was wind, waves, and current all against us to get to this short little, which should take max an hour, and ended up taking us
2.5 hours, I think. But we made it. So
yeah, we made it, and sailing was way easier and more comfortable than motoring would have been.
Oh yes.
So
especially with the size of the waves, like they were 5-footers and like not even 2 seconds apart, so we were just slamming into them. So it's just way more comfortable sailing than motoring in those kind of instances. Yeah,
so the motor is purely, lately it's just been a backup, and to get into those little areas that last year we really couldn't, because the current was too much or it was too tight. I mean, we got into some pretty tight stuff, and I always like to challenge ourselves and get into tight areas under sail, pull up anchor under sail, drop anchor under sail. But this year we don't have restrictions anymore, so that's really nice. I do enjoy having an engine for those reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah, it works. Super awesome. Okay, what's the next question we have there?
Alan Loves Music says he really likes the short videos. I'm glad. Awesome. Thank you. Sometimes I wonder, because it doesn't seem like as many of you are interested in them.
Or it leads to confusion as to where we are and what's happening.
Yeah. I hope we clarified that in one of our posts. We try to... Anyway, hopefully it's clear now that the shorts are more live, up to date, and our full form content is almost a year old now. Jeez.
From May 2020.
Yeah, so a little under a year. But I think that's going to catch up soon, because when we were on the hard, we didn't film nearly as much. So there should be a little jump there. We would get a little closer to real time. And we're also editing like fiends, so we should catch up a little faster now. Rachel asks, what is the prime weather window for heading to Bahamas? Wind, speed, I guess, and direction.
So one thing to get to the Bahamas, you have to cross the Gulf Stream, which that means you really do not want any wind with any northern component, like northeast, northwest, north, unless it's like pretty much like non-existent kind of thing. Because the Gulf Stream flows south to north, and so if your current, and it gets really, really fast, like the Gulf Stream just is like the Autobahn of water. If you've seen some of our other videos, we were doing like 12 knots in it. So if the wind opposes the current, it just creates those, how do you call them, like peaks, like those mountains kind of thing. So it gets really dangerous for especially small vessels going across. So really we've been trying to find either not too much wind or wind that's like from the south or west, so that you can actually get across.
And something else I noticed, especially this year, and actually we're hoping to make a video more about crossing the Gulf Stream to the Bahamas, because what we found was, if we're trying to get here and we're leaving from maybe like something somewhat parallel to it, you are going to get pushed north no matter what, because the Gulf Stream is pushing you north. So just go with it. Get a good angle that you still have good speed, and don't be afraid to go past where you want to go, because once you get out of the Gulf Stream, you can always circle back down. And the problem that we had last year, and what we learned from, is if you try to angle down to fight the Gulf Stream, so to speak, so that you'll kind of ferry across the Gulf Stream, you just slow way down, and you're wasting all of that potential speed you could be getting, and you could do a nice kind of arc over to where you're getting to at a much faster speed.
Mm-hmm. And we try to not go with too strong winds in general, just because there's so much current, so waves do build up quite a bit more. So I mean, this year we did a lot of motor sailing, because it was so calm. Like, we barely had any wind.
Across the Gulf Stream?
Yeah, because we left at like midnight from West Palm, And then we had a little bit of wind, and then the wind was kind of dying. Corey did more motoring. And then when I woke up the next morning, I'm the one that kind of took over. And at that point, the wind picked up a little bit. So I could turn off the engine for some time. But it was super, super light wind sailing, motoring. But I mean, with the restrictions, with the test not being allowed to have it too old, we kind of needed to get across. And then the following day, I think the wind was picking up like crazy from the north. So we needed to get across before it did that switch.
When we're in the Gulf Stream, we really don't mind just trying to get across. If you're not going 5 knots, to me, I'm going to kick on the motor if I have it. And just try to get a good speed getting across. Once you're out of it, which, you get out of it not that far offshore, you're only in it for, depending on where you are, and actually it changes all the time, so I can't say that for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you don't want to spend too much time unless the weather is favorable in the Gulf Stream, at least from our experience.
Yeah.
Katie says, it was a long wait back in January last year. Might have been better closer to spring this year. I mean, it seems like there's definitely these times where the weather is better than other times, during this period of the season, it seems like we start to get a lot more thunderstorms and weird weather, like where the weather kind of clocks around within a day sometimes.
Yeah.
And I can't say if it would have been better or worse, but
because you also get those squalls that is just like you'll have no wind whatsoever, and all of a sudden you just see a wall. Like, you pretty much see a wall, like a line on the water of rain coming straight at you, and then the wind picks up like crazy. And most of the time it comes from the north, so then it also gets really cold. It's way different. It's like every month has their own kind of weather pattern. And I think also different areas of the Bahamas might have different weather patterns as well. It's very unique.
Yeah. We're getting a bunch of different congratulations, so thank you all so much. That's so sweet of you. We are so excited. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying for a while, so we're really, really stoked to bring our little one on the adventure that we are continuing to live. Mm-hmm. And Sailing Vinyasa, our buddy boat from last year, is on the live stream. Thanks for joining. So good to see you guys.
Awesome.
Bonnie wants to know if we have any names picked out yet for the little one.
We don't even... I haven't... Okay, so I haven't even been able to go to a doctor yet to do any ultrasound or anything. Actually, the main reason why we came to Spanish Wells was because apparently there was a doctor that was here on Mondays, an OB-GYN that could have done an ultrasound, but turns out he will not be back until May 10th, so we're not going to be staying here until that date. And apparently there was maybe a second one, but he only comes to Spanish Wells on the 3rd Saturday of every month. So it's very challenging. So anyways, we've been thinking of a couple little names here and there, but nothing too serious, because we don't even know if it's a little girl, little boy.
I personally really like Coral as a girl's name anyway, but that's, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. We haven't really put a ton of thought into it. It's still somewhat early. Alan Loves Music, thank you so much, man. That's gonna really help us out. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
It sounds like Alan loves music, and is that Les Bentley? They seem to like the maintenance videos, so that's good that there's some people out there that are liking them, because there's lots coming.
Yes, and don't hesitate to ask us any questions if you want to know a little bit more about how things were rebuilt or maintained and all that. You can always leave those in the comments or send us a message on social media or anything.
We've got some people saying hello from Sudbury, Ontario, and Arizona. Hey, guys.
People from everywhere. Hey. Welcome to the live stream.
Alan Alan Loves Music was mentioning that he thought we bought a drone, and we did. The video at the very beginning of the LiveStream. That's one of our drone shots, and shortly we should be putting out a 4K video of about like 10 minutes long of some of our footage from the Abacos. So this will be just drone shots, kind of eye candy type thing, and hopefully you guys like it.
Yeah, Corey's been having a lot of fun flying the drone from the boat as well as from the dinghy and from islands. So there is going to be a whole different perspective, bird's eye view on what we've been seeing. It's kind of fun. It's just giving us a different perspective and being able to see coral reefs and different things also. I get what you're laughing at now.
Well, Katie agrees that the shorts are a great behind-the-scenes sneak peek, and then Sailing Vinyasa wants to know where, when, and how was the baby conceived. We need answers immediately. I don't know.
So that baby is, she doesn't know yet, but he has traveled a lot. It was conceived in Canada. Then we flew to the US. And pretty much as we started doing the work on the boat, I realized I was pregnant. So then Corey had to take over with all the fun sanding of the ablative paint and all the terrible stuff.
I did a heck of a lot more work than I ever planned to do in that boatyard. We were supposed to teamwork that. She got out of it somehow.
I did most of the cleaning and editing and all that kind of stuff. And now it's traveling throughout the Bahamas and growing.
All right.
So yeah, that baby is definitely traveling a lot, and we'll be seeing so much more of the world because, you know, our Jittery Jackson, the autopilot, is Jittery Jackson 2.0 actually is having trouble at times, so we need an actual good autopilot. So it's in the making.
Yeah, we're pretty glad to have a third autopilot. It's pretty important to us. Was it the lobster tickler that did the trick? It might have been. You know.
Nah, the whole pregnancy thing has been kind of an interesting journey for us, just with trying to conceive for quite a few years, to having 2 miscarriages while sailing last year, but now this one I'm 19 weeks pregnant, and it seems like it's actually staying in there.
It's not leaving anytime soon.
Alright, it's the next. I like all over the place. Yeah, kid is changing a little bit the way we would have been sailing. But I mean, it'll be good to go back home and spend a little bit of time with our families and help out everyone, as well as just get them to see our little one. And then as soon as, I mean, we're not entirely sure when we'll be coming back to the boat afterwards, but I am due by the end of September. So then it really depends how long it takes to get the passport and all the paperwork figured out. And hoping that we can make it back to the US nicely without too much issues.
Yeah, I really hope we don't get stuck in Canada for not.
We won't.
I love Canada, but I just don't want to get stuck there. So yeah. Anyway, fingers crossed, everything works out. We have plans are always changing, but we have plans as of now to go there, do all the stuff that we need to do, spend a bit of time with family. And then really, as of now, fly down because we can't drive down, and do all the stuff we need to do with the boat before we leave. And then, more than likely, sail back here with our buddy boat Sailing Vinyasa, because we're kind of excited to have a buddy boat that is also got a little one. And I've been really missing my spearfishing buddy. So I mean, we've made some good friends here as well, but having somebody that is on the same wavelength and loves to be in the water, like, you know, most hours of the day, like I do, will be very appreciative.
And we're talking of leaving the sailboat probably around Jacksonville again, just because that's what would make more sense. Because if we sail the boat back to Canada, by the time we're ready to come back down, it's most likely going to be frozen and stuck in the ice or on the hard, so then we'd be losing a whole other sailing season. So by leaving it in the US, then as soon as we're ready, we can just get back to it and keep exploring, keep sailing, because we love this lifestyle. It's just, it opens so many doors, it gives us so much more freedom, and
I can't go back to land life after what we've experienced. I just can't do it. I can't get trapped in the 9 to 5, and I also don't want to feel like I have to live in one place for an extended period of time. You know, I love exploring. We both love exploring, and this just fits our lifestyle. And now it's going to be different, of course, but we're going to get to show the little one all the different, you know, all the different things that we get to see, and give them hopefully a really nice life.
Mm-hmm. So that should be quite exciting.
It sounds like Coral is a hit. There's quite a few comments here saying Coral is a great name, or Coral is Coral for the win. So thank you guys. We'll keep that in mind.
Oh, and Katie's asking, how's the front hatch holding up?
Good.
So much better.
Well, it wasn't the hatch per se that was the problem.
Yeah, the anchor lock. So last year we had quite a bit of problems with our anchor locker. Whenever we were beating into waves, it overfill and then go inside the bow and just soak our whole bed pretty much, or the floor and all the compartments. So that was one of the big priorities of things to modify and fix when we were back in the US.
Mm-hmm. And I think we got it. I mean, there's been some light leaks that we can't quite figure out where it's coming, because it's that is watertight. I don't see where the water could be coming in, but we're getting this slight amount of leak when we really bash into the waves, and the waves are just breaking over top. But other than that, it's been wonderful. We do, as far as hatches are concerned, we do need to replace both seals in our hatches on the top deck and even the surrounding windows. We are getting a few leaks, but nothing unmanageable.
No, it's just the gaskets they're old gaskets, so I think it's time to rip them out, put some new ones, and get all nice and dry again.
Yeah.
But leaks have been very minimal, which is really, really good. Because last year it's like as if every time I'd be washing my bed sheets, like a couple of days later we'd be pounding into waves, and then I'd have to rewash the bed sheets all over again like 2 days later. That was not fun.
She got really good at washing bed sheets. All right, what do we got next here?
Who do you all follow?
Well, this one before.
Oh. Well, I can't think of.
Well, thank you so much. That's not a question, but thank you so much.
Thanks,
that's
Trev.
so sweet, Trevor.
There's a lot of people that we follow. I mean, when we're in the Bahamas, we barely do any watching because data is a little bit more limited, a little bit more expensive. But I mean, we follow Sailing Vinyasa, Sailing Uma, Project Atticus.
Yeah.
That's kind of our top ones.
I mean, there's plenty of people that, you know, through scrolling sailing channels and stuff, we end up watching. There's so many great channels out there, and there's a lot of new channels that I keep running into that, you know, I thought I was just niched down into these specific channels, but I keep finding new ones. I mean, the list is pretty long. It'd take a while to list them all. But let us know if you like any specific ones, and maybe we can check them out. Alan Loves Music wants to see your little baby bump.
Let's try to see how that's gonna work.
I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know. It's
we'll see. It's delayed, so we don't know if she's even in frame right now, but I think she is. Yeah, there you go. It's right there.
So yeah, I feel a little bit more fat. I am so happy that I don't have to wear any winter clothes or anything, and I can be in a bikini all the time. That's the best thing.
Hey Mom, thanks for coming on the stream. I'm glad we look great.
Hello.
Have you thought about COVID shots? That's something that, to be
That's
honest,
very taboo.
I was not in a hurry to get anytime soon. But at this point in our lifestyle, if it was required to travel, we would just go ahead and get it, because it's at the point now where I feel like, you know, if they're going to make it so difficult to travel without it, I'm just going to get the shot. It's not worth not getting, in my mind.
Traveling is just way too part of our life. I think we'd go into depression or something if we couldn't travel. Like, it's my little addiction.
But I mean, we're not necessarily for the shot, but as we said, if it's going to make it easier, it's worth it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, Bonnie!
Oh my God!
Something non-alcoholic for Alex. We'll make sure she's already on the non-alcoholic, but we'll make sure to find something really nice for her with that. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Cheers to you. Actually, the next drink is gonna be. Oh, they're done.
Wait. Alex's next non-alcoholic drink will be some of these coconuts that we've been grabbing off of the trees. There's a lot of coconut trees.
Corey is like awesome climber. He has mastered the skill of climbing. And I'm gonna get some foods. We are just next to Spanish Wells, and that's the cheapest and best grocery store we found in the Bahamas so far. So we're kind of excited to go back there. Do not know if the mailboat has come in yet, so hopefully there is some good stock.
Financials. Is it more expensive? Alias? Ilias. Thank you. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's name. I sometimes look at Alex just so she can pronounce it, because I am terrible. But Ilias is wondering if financials are like what they what we expected, or are they more, or are they less? I think they're referring to, just on the boat, I assume, or budget.
Well, okay, I guess I'll take over that one.
Yeah, go for it. She's the one who keeps track of a lot of this stuff, and she's very diligent and really writes everything down. And so that's how we've been able to share with you guys our different budgets for different sections of our trip, which we should have a budget. You just reminded us. We meant to do a budget for Bahamas for last year, so that'll be coming out shortly as well.
I guess. I mean, it always really depends what kind of boats you have and what needs to be done. For living in the Bahamas right now, we're spending maybe $300-400 a month, not even. So that's super, super cheap. But on the other end, when we were back in the US and in the work zone at the marina and doing a bunch of upgrades, we spent quite a few $1000s. So that was a little more. But
that's kind of my fault. I tend to get a little too anal or retentive when it comes to working on a boat, and I just want to make it perfect. And there's no such thing as perfect. At least I've realized that, where I want everything to be beautiful and look right, and I just make it too much about making it look good. And I've realized more so that I just need to make it functional. It doesn't need to look beautiful. It just needs to be functional and work.
But if I was to average our full last year of cruising, even including engine rebuild and everything, US, Bahamas and all, we average about $1,500 a month. That's including really everything, like your food, boat maintenance, data, any little things that we need. So it's it's cheaper than living on land for us. We don't have quite as many expenses, I guess. Everything pretty much is the boat. The boat is our car, or the dinghy. So it's been pretty good. I'm not sure how this year is going to be. It might be a little higher because we did end up finding quite a few more things broken on the boats or not functioning when we got back to it. So one of which, or you were...
I was just going to say, one of those things was our batteries, among many other things. Yeah. When we got back to the boat, our house bank was completely flat, had 0 voltage in it. I tried to bring it back, and there was no bringing it back. So we ended up
CPR didn't work.
yeah. So we ended up buying lithium batteries. Actually, we built our own lithium bank, so stay tuned for anybody who's interested in that, because it's significantly cheaper than buying, like, say, a Battleborn or anything like that. And that we're in love with lithium, especially, you know, having done it ourselves, saving some money. And we could have saved even more if we would have been able to order it in advance, but we needed it sooner, so we had to pay a little bit more. But long story short,
920, just a little under $1,000 US. We ended up getting 280 amps.
So 280 amp hours with the BMS and everything you need for the actual battery. It fits in this little 24 group battery box, and it's a quarter of the weight of our old batteries.
50 pounds.
And we can actually discharge these to a lot lower of a percentage. And this is the first year that we have not had to worry about power whatsoever. Even with both our laptops going, the fridge going, both our computers going. I have a desktop for some of the editing, and
power sucker.
Just like so much, you know, drawing like 40 amps sometimes, and we have no trouble with the power consumption. We don't turn off lights. We're really not careful about power usage at all anymore, and we have had zero problems. So happy
far,
about that.
So good. Best investment ever. But those things kind of add into the cost of everything. But then here we're barely spending any money. So I think budget, we might be on par with last year, and that's pretty good. But everyone's so different. Like, we meet all sorts of people traveling on different budgets. We tend to be very frugal. Is that English or that's French?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So we're gonna eat on our boat more often than not. I mean, this year we have gone out a couple more times just because restaurants are actually opened in the Bahamas, which is kind of exciting.
Sometimes you're just craving that burger and fries, and it just goes so well. And also, we have been spending a lot of time with some new buddy boats, and it was just really nice. And it was nice to go out with them and explore and see restaurants and different things that we didn't get to see last year. So we've been splurging a little more.
But I'm saving us a lot of money because I don't drink any beers when we go out.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
That's cheap.
Our alcohol consumption is cut in half between the two of us.
Yes.
All right, what's the plan for the rest of the Bahamas?
So spend a little bit of time in Spanish Wells, go get some groceries, some water, stretch the legs, and maybe if I can find out a different doctor or if there's been any change, maybe get an ultrasound, we'll see. And after here, I mean, we might be going back to some of like Egg Island and some of the cays close by to Spanish Well area. And then I think we might be jumping across to the Berries, because we have to be out of the Bahamas by May 30th or 31st, because we did get a 3-month cruising permit for here, so that's kind of when it'll be expiring. So we really wanted to make it further south.
Sorry, that said, we do have a 3-month cruising permit, but with the situation here in the Bahamas right now, if we wanted to extend that, we could easily extend that with just essentially a phone call to the proper people, and we could get another month or maybe even longer. But considering our situation, we aren't really going to be able to do that. So yeah, I mean, we're probably leaving in about a month, and I think our plan, as she was about to say, I think we wanted to go a lot more south. We wanted to check out Ragged Islands. We wanted to do a lot more things. But honestly, we kind of got caught up in Abacos. It was just so nice, some of the places that we saw. And I didn't mind being stuck there, deciding to stay there longer. It was well worth, spending some more months or more time there. Mm-hmm. So I think we were originally, as of recent, we were thinking of going down to the Exumas, but now I'm kind of rethinking that, because we did spend quite a bit of time in Exumas, and last year we didn't get to check out the Berries at all. So maybe we'll go spend the last close to a month in the Berries before heading back to the U.S.
Yeah, So as of now, that's the plan, but things change all the time. You go with the flow, go with the wind.
Yep.
But yeah, apparently there's tons to explore in the berries, and if any of you has been there, feel free to send us little suggestions and places to check out. But we kind of like going to new places, so that's why we wanted to go over there.
Yeah, because if we went to Exumas, which, you know, it is some of the clearer
beautiful
water and nice places, but I feel like we'd only be able to explore a little bit of the northern section before we'd have to head out anyway. And I mean, the berries are kind of an unknown area to us, so it'll be nice to kind of see something else. I also really want to go back to Egg Island, which is where we were right before we came here, when it's calm, because you need to be there when it's calm weather. There's a wreck out there, and there's just some really nice, supposedly there's some good, nice deep reefs over there for fishing and snorkeling. So I'm hoping to check out that before we head over to the berries. I mean, that plans could change. Maybe we'll decide tomorrow we want to go to the Exumas, but as of now, this is what we're thinking. And then next year, when we come back, I'd love to just... It's so far from now, but I'd really love to check out some of the southern Bahamas. You know, the stuff that's less accessible and a little bit harder to get to.
And more of the Caribbean.
Yes. So next year, we've been planning this for 3 years now, to not stop cruising and not go back to the States and put the boat on hard. And it's been 2 seasons now where we've, you know, for our different reasons. Last year was the engine and COVID. This year it's the pregnancy, which, you know, it's all fine. Plans change, but we always wanted to just continue cruising, and, you know, from Bahamas go to maybe Haiti or something else,
Cuba.
and then Cuba, and then head more south, head to Argentina or something, and Guatemala.
You're jumping
Argentina.
far.
That's a big jump. Yeah. So get to some of the more southern areas for hurricane holes rather than coming back up to the States. So that's hopefully going to be the plan next year. But again, look how fast plans change all the time. But I really don't mind coming back to the Bahamas. There's just still so much to explore, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface here. Hopefully we can continue to make the content entertaining, because it is going to be in the same area. But I feel like
different islands.
Yeah, and I feel like the drone shots and just the different things that we're able to show this year is already going to make it a different experience for all of you. So hopefully everybody enjoys 3 seasons in the Bahamas.
I think we missed some up there.
We might have. So the sun's kind of on a weird angle. The comments are a little tricky to read. So if we missed some of you, I'm very sorry. It sounds like Katie's saying 2 babies. I think my mom is interpreting that as twins.
My brother teased me about that one. Never know.
Well, we do have 4 arms, so I mean we could manage.
And how long are you? So Colin, how long are you planning on staying in Canada for? Depends on when the baby actually comes out, because you never know. It could be early, could be on time, could be late. But we're planning on going back to Canada in July, and then go help Corey's mom for a little bit, and then be there early so that they can give birth end of September. And I'm thinking maybe maximum 2 months after, we should have the passport and everything good, but you never know how that's gonna go. So we're hoping to be back to the boat within like 4 or 5 months.
And then when we get back to the boat, we have a little bit of work. I mean, that's going to change depending on, you know, what breaks and what doesn't. But essentially, we'd really like to, the main priorities in my mind are get a freezer on board, because just the amount of fish we're catching now, it would just be really nice to freeze some, plus bring maybe some more meat and cheeses and different things that our fridge was stocked full this year. And, anyway, it would just be nice to have a little more stuff in the fridge and freezers. So that's the plan. And then we have a few other small modifications, just I guess, comfort of living, maybe making things a little better storage-wise and stuff like that. And then probably throwing another layer of bottom paint on because we did all of that. I got it real smooth. Speaking of which, I am incredibly satisfied with what we did to the boat this past season, because we got rid of all the old paint, we put on new bottom paint, and I also faired any like divots or anything that was like not looking really nice.
To hull joint, Corey made it all nice and smooth with some extra fiberglass. And
we've gained like roughly a knot of speed. Like, it's not uncommon for us now to go 6 knots on average. So it definitely, I've noticed how much a clean bottom on a sailboat makes the difference, and I'll never go back. Plus, our friend Lee back at the marina gave us a brand new prop, well, new to us anyway, and it was, we used to have a composite prop. Now we have a 3-bladed instead of a 2-bladed bronze prop, and that's also made a fairly large difference as far as extra motoring power. Speed. So the changes we've made to the hull itself has certainly helped us out. Mm-hmm. Oh, one other thing we need to do to the rudder. The rudder we repaired, and there was some delamination, I think from maybe some bad lamination the last time we fixed the rudder. And we weren't able to get all the water out of the rudder. So that's something I want to drill holes as soon as we get on the hard and just let it drain for the whole time we're gone. And then hopefully seal it up without any more water in it. Because when we were hanging in the slings overnight, I basically had to use a screw to stop the water from coming out the last few drips, because none of the epoxy or anything I was using was setting. So anyway, we got it worked out as a temporary fix, but this next season we're going to have to fix it a little better.
Mm-hmm. And Jason is asking us if we've ever sailed with SV Delos.
I'd love to.
Yeah, we'd love to. They're great.
Never had a chance, but I'm sure we'll run into each other at some point. That'd be really cool. Yes. Alan loves music. Are the number of cruisers in the Bahamas down compared to last year?
Yes.
I'd say a significant amount less, but even last year was supposedly quite a bit lower than years previous. Like, mm-hmm. I mean, we're in probably the busiest anchorage we've been in a while, and we have about less than 10 boats in this anchorage. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I kind of feel fortunate to be here during COVID, because we get to explore. I mean, for a long time we were at anchorages that were normally, I'd read in the reviews, super packed, and we were the only boat there.
Boats, yeah.
So we're getting to explore these areas that are normally packed with boats with way less people. And you can tell the people that are here are just those people that are driven to be here, and they're slightly different, I guess, than the average cruiser. Actually, I've noticed this year there's a lot more, not that there aren't older cruisers, but there's a lot of younger cruisers here this year. Mm-hmm. I feel like most of the cruisers we run into are our age, or maybe younger in some cases, and a little older. But
we've met some incredible people, though. It's nice because last year with COVID starting, everyone, like, it just got so quiet and nobody was visiting anyone. And this year we all get tested prior to arriving here, and when we're here, so there's way less chances of someone still having COVID, so you mingle with people so much more. So we've had like potlucks and boat parties, and it's just been so refreshing. Like, we're seeing a part of the Bahamas, or a life like what cruising is supposed to be. We're actually experiencing it this year, and we've met incredible people. Like,
absolutely.
Oh.
And last year, we were all so paranoid, right? Like, especially because it had just come out, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, let's touch elbows because we don't know if we should even be close to each other." And there was a high level of paranoia. Cruisers telling on other cruisers. But this year, since all the cruisers have to do such strict testing, everybody's just like, "Oh, we're fine. We don't have COVID." Woo! So it's just different. And actually, over in Green Turtle Cay, there was somebody, we were having a potluck with some cruisers that we had met, and they quickly became buddy boats of ours. And the owner of the mooring balls was just so happy. He was like brought to tears because it was the first potluck that he had seen people getting together since all of this COVID had happened. And so, the locals are very happy to see, in general, us here and, bringing back this, what used to be sort of mentality.
Mm-hmm. And when you go in like public areas, like going inside a grocery store or inside stores, you still need to wear your mask. So there's still those things. Mm-hmm. And not every island is the same. Some islands even have curfews. And like mainland Abaco, New Providence, and Eleuthera Island, you also need extra testing when you leave those islands. So they're really trying to restrict the propagation of the virus. But we're healthy so far.
Brad Peterson asks, would you recommend a boat with shallower draft for greater exploring opportunities? What draft would work well? Love your adventures. Thanks so much.
We have a 5 foot and 3 inches draft, and it's been working pretty decent. Like, we haven't felt too restricted in the Bahamas.
Seems like people with 6 foot plus really do feel restricted at one point or another. Mm-hmm. We've met 2 different people that, they either have to come in at the highest of high tides, or they just have to avoid specific anchorages that are more protected altogether. Now, this is just in the Bahamas, and there's trade-offs with everything. So these people are going to have a way nicer time out in the open ocean than we will, or a shallower draft will. So, for ourselves, in an ideal circumstance, I think I would love to have a 4 foot or less draft, but I can't even say that because I've never cruised on a 4 foot or less draft. I'm not a good person to have asked that, because it's not fair for me, coming from a non-full keel standpoint, to comment on something I've never experienced before. So I would certainly just realize that there's trade-offs for everything.
But our keel's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, 5 foot is fine, I think, in the Bahamas overall.
We bumped once this year, though. That was the first time in the Bahamas. Got a little too close to shallow section. Yeah. Where it was like coming into an anchorage, really low speed.
I've also kind of gotten to the point where I just don't mind bumping the bottom. I really don't. I'll anchor it with knowing that I have less than a foot underneath our boat, knowing that, we might bump when the tide goes down. It's just not something that I worry about nearly as much, provided it's not a hard coral bottom or something. But in general, you're looking to anchor in sand or mud anyway.
Yeah. And we also have Misty Shenanigans. I really hope you get to sail south next year, especially coming from Canada, sailing south. I hope the restrictions have really eased up. And thank you for offering us a ride. This is super exciting.
So nice of you.
This is awesome. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Send us a message or your information on social, and you never know. Maybe we'll be getting a ride.
Yeah. Sailing Vinyasa says clearest water is Bon Quay and north. Bon Quay, I'm not sure where that is.
Oh.
And yes, they want to hear about the diving over at and the fishing reports over at Egg Island.
Will do.
Actually, I've gotten some reports from Little Green Sailboat that we met up with over in Exumas. So he gave me a couple points to check out. So I'm hoping that they'll pan out.
Footage to come.
Yeah, it's coming up.
What is it?
My eyes don't work with the sun.
Hell yes, that's super exciting. It's such a fun adventure, and everything will happen in time. Sometimes we tend to rush into things, but everything works out in the end.
Don't try to. My only suggestion, I guess, would be don't try to make everything perfect before you sail away, because
it never will be.
Yeah, it never will be, and you could spend years that you could be spending cruising, trying to get the boat to a perfect level, And I mean, you can always make it better down the road. You know, you could start cruising for a while, then take a pause, make it better. I mean, once you're out there, you'll realize what you actually really need, versus when you're planning for a cruise, you don't really realize what you need and don't need.
Yes. And talking about needing, Katie is asking us, how do we baby-proof a boat? Well, I think the baby is going to be in the harness a little bit. And really, it's just going to be mainly putting a lot of netting all the way around the boat and making sure any of like the electrical cables and all that kind of stuff, making sure it's all just tucked away and that she can't really access any of that.
Maybe put a lock on some of the more dangerous drawers where like there's chemicals and stuff. Similar things that you do in a house.
Yeah.
But as far as like the boat is concerned, my main concern is the baby falling overboard. So if we have nets all the way around, and I mean, I believe that we're going to. I mean, this is only when he or she gets a little bit bigger. So at that point, they will be taught very strictly that if you're not tied in, you're not on deck. You know, if you're not tied in, even in the cockpit, you're not allowed out here. So it'll be just kind of something that they'll grow up learning. I'm hoping. And
it's all a new thing for us, so it's going to be testing and seeing what works best.
Yeah. And life jackets, of course, will be a necessity.
Absolutely.
Not even a question about that.
We shall see if it's twins or not. The belly isn't that big, I don't think.
Beach Relief is wondering about the name. We were talking about that earlier. We were thinking maybe Coral for a girl's name, but there's so many. We really haven't spent a whole lot of time figuring out which names would be best, I guess, suited. Bon K is in the Bear. Oh, okay, sweet. Well, definitely I will have to check out Bon K and the Berries.
Cool.
That'd be
Absolutely.
awesome.
And Ricky Stillwell is going to be sailing in the Abacos in a couple of weeks. That's super exciting.
Enjoy.
Oh yeah, check out Manjack. Double-breasted K is beautiful as well.
If you do go to Manjack, try to get a nice calm day to go outside the reef. Basically, go through the shallow area and you just go straight out to the reef out there, and you won't regret it, in my opinion.
And for the Bahamas, we have been using BTC, which in the Abacos, there's certain areas that it's like patchy, like you're getting a cell service, but it's not the greatest. But I mean, like double-breasted, we were having cell service, and then as we got a little further south, like across from Foxtown, like Allen's, Pensacola, and all the Cays south, we have decent internet, like cell service, and Green Turtle was pretty good actually. Yeah.
Yep.
And all the way central, southern Abacos as well. So we haven't had too much trouble. It's just been more north in Abacos where reception was not quite as good.
You can kind of base it like on Aqua Maps, and I think Navionics, has the same thing. You can see where the actual BTC towers or whichever station the towers are located, so you can kind of guesstimate, okay, I'm within, I don't know, 10 miles of, or yeah, less than 10 miles of the tower. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have reception. Now that hasn't always been the case. Sometimes the tower's right there, and for some reason the internet's not good that day. But in general, that's kind of been the way it's worked.
Mm-hmm. And what up? Baby Carl. Cool.
All right, guys. Well, if there's any other questions, feel free to write them down. We're gonna kind of wrap up. We try to keep these to an hour, and it looks like we're a little over, which is all good. But we don't want to keep you guys too long for no good reason. We didn't really have a whole lot to talk about this time. We didn't really plan it out that much. We just really wanted to touch base with everybody and answer any questions, because that's the fun part to me anyway. I don't like just yammering on. If that's what I was looking to do, then I'd probably just post a video versus a live stream. The best part about doing the live stream is being able to have conversation with all of you.
Yeah, that's pretty much all our plans as of now, and you never know what happens in life, so things might still change, but I'll keep you all posted, and we usually share things as well in the community tab, and we'll be sharing more of the short videos.
Yep. Jason Dunn asks, have you thought about getting a water maker? And I've thought thoroughly about getting a water maker, but they are really expensive. Even to build one DIY style, just the pump itself is quite expensive. Like a cat pump that has like a 1500 psi rating is very expensive. I've even looked into like the cheapest way I could do it, which would be like a pressure washer pump, and it just doesn't seem like it's worth it until we go to places that are a lot more remote, because just the cost alone is really going to make it so. I mean, water is next to free. The most expensive water we paid for so far has been $10 to fill up our entire boat this season, and in general it's free. So I just don't see the need while we're here in the Bahamas. When we start talking about going to really remote areas, that will be a discussion that we will probably need to have. But as of now,
our boat is also kind of small. Everything starts being very jam-packed.
But I mean, that's not a reason not to have it in my mind. I think we easily could have one if we wanted, but I just don't see the need at this point in our cruising plans. Ricky, thank you so much.
Cheers to Ricky.
It's bad luck, but I got a couple drops left in here. Thanks a lot. See you.
Yes.
We'll see you out there.
Well, thanks to everyone who's been joining in the super chat. Always love chatting with all of you and giving you updates. And I guess enjoy evening. Everyone stay safe, healthy, happy. Sending you lots of good vibes from the Bahamas.
We love you all. Keep in touch. Let us know if you have any questions about our engine or anything else, either in the comments down below here or in any of the other videos. We always love answering any of your questions. You guys take it easy. Thanks again for coming. We'll see you later.